My beloved child, pause right now and listen with your spirit, not just your ears. December 28th is not an ordinary date for you. This is not coincidence. This is not random. God Himself has allowed Archangel Michael to interrupt your day for a reason that is urgent, precise, and deeply personal. Something hidden has been operating in the shadows around you, and the time has come for it to surface. What was concealed is very dark, but do not be afraid. Light has already been released. You may have felt it before this message even found you. A strange heaviness, a sudden restlessness, a feeling that something was off, even when everything looked normal on the outside. That was not anxiety. That was discernment awakening. Heaven has been signaling you quietly, and now the signal is loud because time is involved. This message is time-sensitive because what is hidden cannot remain hidden any longer. Hear this clearly. God does not expose darkness to harm His children. He exposes it to protect them. Archangel Michael has been standing on assignment around your life, especially in areas where you felt confused, delayed, or emotionally drained. There had been something, where someone, operating behind the scenes, presenting one face while carrying another intention. You trusted what you could see, but you could not see the full picture. That is about to change. This interruption is mercy. You are not weak for missing it before. You are not foolish for believing the best. In fact, your pure heart is the very reason heaven is stepping in now. Darkness thought it could hide behind familiarity, routine, and silence. It assumed you would stay distracted. But God said, enough. Something hidden is about to surface, and when it does, it will explain everything that never made sense. The sudden mood shifts, the unexplained resistance, the doors that almost opened but didn't, the tension that appeared without a clear cause. None of it was accidental. Archangel Michael is the warrior of truth, and he is not gentle with deception. When he is sent, it means exposure is already authorized. What has been working against you quietly is about to be revealed openly. And when it happens, you will realize how protected you actually were this entire time. This is why this message feels intense. This is why your spirit feels alert. This is why you stopped scrolling. December 28th marks a turning point. From this day forward, lies lose their power over you. Confusion begins to collapse. The fog lifts. You will start noticing details you once overlooked. Conversations will sound different. Behaviors will no longer align with words. Patterns will repeat just enough for you to finally see them clearly. Do not confront yet. Do not react emotionally. Observation is your weapon right now. What is surfacing is dark, yes, but it is also weak. Darkness only survives in secrecy. Once exposed, it cannot continue. Archangel Michael does not come to negotiate with darkness. He comes to remove it. There is also something else you need to know. This exposure is not only about protection, it is about positioning. The thing that hath been hidden hath been blocking a blessing, delaying progress, and draining your peace. Once it surfaces, you will feel an immediate internal shift. Relief will come first. Clarity will follow. Then acceleration. That is why the enemy tried so hard to keep this concealed. You were moving closer to a breakthrough without realizing it. The closer you got, the louder the resistance became. What you felt as pressure was actually proof of proximity. Heaven saw the setup before you did, and now heaven is intervening. Pay attention to signs over the next few hours and days. Pay attention to sudden confessions, accidental revelations, slips of the tongue, and unexpected messages. Pay attention to dreams. Pay attention to what feels exposed without you doing anything at all. You will not have to dig for the truth. The truth will come looking for you. And when it does, stay grounded. Do not let shock steal your authority. God has already prepared your heart for this moment, even if you don't realize it yet. That inner strength you feel rising right now. That's not fear leaving. That's discernment taking its place. Archangel Michael is not warning you to panic. He's alerting you to stand firm. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not imagining things. You were never meant to stay in the dark. This interruption is divine timing. Had it happened earlier, it would have hurt you. Had it happened later, it would have cost you more. But now is perfect. Receive this with humility and courage. Something hidden is about to surface, and when it does, you will walk away lighter, wiser, and more protected than ever before. If this message stirred something deep within you, it's because this is only the beginning. Beloved one, take a deep breath as this unfolds, because what you are stepping into now requires calm awareness, not fear. The reason this exposure is happening the way it is has everything to do with divine timing and spiritual maturity. God did not rush this moment. He waited until you were strong enough to see clearly without breaking. That alone tells you how far you have come. There has been a silent battle around your environment, not always loud, not always obvious, but consistent. You sensed it in small ways, moments when your joy dipped without explanation, when motivation drained faster than usual, when conversations felt slightly off. These were not coincidences. They were signals. Heaven was training your discernment quietly while shielding you from the full weight of the truth until now. Archangel Michael's presence in this season is not symbolic. It is strategic. When truth begins to surface, it often arrives layered, first as intuition, then as patterns, and finally as undeniable clarity. That is exactly what is happening for you. The reason you are being told to observe instead of react is because reactions feed confusion, but observation feeds wisdom. You are being taught to see without emotional entanglement. Understand this clearly. Not everything hidden is evil by appearance, but everything hidden that resists the light has an agenda. What is coming into the open will reveal motives, not just actions. And when motives are revealed, decisions become easy. This is why God is slowing you down internally, while accelerating events externally. You are not meant to panic, you are meant to perceive. Some of you will notice that the exposure doesn't come as a dramatic confrontation. Instead, it comes through subtle realizations. A pattern finally clicks. A memory resurfaces with new meaning. A comment suddenly sounds different than it did before. In those moments, trust what you discern. You are not being negative. You are being protected. This season is also restoring your confidence in your own spiritual sensitivity. For too long, you questioned yourself. You explained away red flags. You gave people the benefit of the doubt at the cost of your peace. God saw that. He honored your heart, but now He is strengthening your boundaries. Love without discernment drains you. Love with wisdom preserves you. As truth surfaces, you may feel a strange mix of emotions: relief, sadness, clarity, even gratitude. All of it is normal. Do not rush yourself through it. Healing often begins the moment confusion ends. And confusion is ending for you. There is also an instruction woven into this moment. Do not over-explain yourself. When exposure happens, silence becomes powerful. You will not need to convince anyone of what you see. The truth will speak for itself. Archangel Michael's role is to remove the mask. not to force apologies or explanations. Let God handle outcomes while you protect your peace. Now, pause for a moment. If this message is already helping you see things differently, this is the time to respond. Like this video so this message can reach others who are being protected right now. Share it with someone who had been feeling confused but couldn't explain why. Leave a comment, even a simple word, to anchor this revelation in your spirit. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel and become part of this growing community of discernment and truth. When you engage, you are not just supporting a channel. You are aligning yourself with the flow of what God is doing here. As you move forward, expect resistance to lessen. Expect your inner world to feel quieter, clearer, steadier. That is not emptiness. That is peace returning. The noise you lived with before was never normal. You just got used to it. Now that it is lifting, you will realize how heavy it actually was. You may also notice people responding differently to you. Some will feel exposed simply by your presence. Others will drift away without explanation. You not chase what exits. Every departure that happens during truth-revealing seasons is a form of protection. What stays will be aligned. What leaves was never meant to walk with you into what comes next. This is also a moment to guard your words. Speak less, listen more. Revelation grows in stillness. The more you resist the urge to explain, the more clarity will multiply. God is doing heart surgery, not surface repair. Something important is unfolding next, and it will connect everything you've already sensed with what is about to manifest outwardly. Hold on, because this is where understanding deepens and peace becomes unshakable. Chosen one, what is unfolding now goes deeper than exposure alone. This is a spiritual separation taking place, and it is necessary for where God is taking you next. When something hidden surfaces, it is not only revealing darkness outside of you, it is also purifying discernment within you. That is why this moment feels heavy and holy at the same time. Heaven is recalibrating your spiritual senses. You are being taught the difference between empathy and access. In the past, you felt responsible for people's emotions, their outcomes, their healing. That was never your assignment. That was a weight you carried because of your compassion, not because God demanded it. And now, with truth rising, you are learning that loving someone does not mean allowing them to remain close when their presence brings confusion, delay, or spiritual fatigue. Archangel Michael is standing as a divider in this season. He separates truth from illusion, loyalty from manipulation, light from counterfeit light. This is why certain realizations may sting at first. You are not grieving what you lost, you are grieving what you thought was real. And that grief is valid. But do not let it linger. What was genuine will remain. What was pretending cannot survive revelation. Some of you are beginning to recognize how long this darkness tried to coexist with your light. It studied you. It adapted to you. It learned your language, your kindness, your patterns. What it underestimated one thing: obedience. The moment you chose alignment over comfort, heaven responded. That choice triggered this interruption. There is also a warning wrapped in protection. Once the truth is exposed, do not attempt to rescue what God is removing. Nostalgia can be a trap if you allow it to override discernment. The enemy often disguises itself as familiarity, but familiarity without peace is not from God. Peace is your confirmation now. You may notice your spirit becoming firmer. Not colder, not harder, firmer. You will feel less inclined to explain yourself. Less reactive. More grounded. That is spiritual authority settling in. Authority does not announce itself. It stabilizes you from within. Pay attention to how quickly your energy shifts when you stop engaging with confusion. That is your sign. Your body, mind, and spirit have been craving alignment. And alignment is finally happening. This season is also restoring your trust in God's protection. There were moments when you wondered why He allowed certain things to continue, why exposure didn't happen sooner, why you had to endure so much quietly. Now you understand. Delay was not denial. Delay was development. Had this truth come earlier, you would have questioned yourself. Now, you stand rooted. What is being exposed will not destroy you. It will free you. And freedom will create space. In that space, new clarity will grow. New connections will form. And new opportunities will appear without force. That is how you will know this separation was divine. You are stepping into a phase where discernment becomes instinctive. You will sense alignment quickly and misalignment even faster. This is not suspicion. This is spiritual maturity. And with maturity comes peace that no longer depends on people behaving a certain way. Archangel Michael is not only removing what is hidden, he is sealing what is sacred. Your peace, your future, your calling. These are not negotiable anymore. Now receive this final activation for this moment. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if this message is confirming what your spirit already knew. Blessing code 444 has just been released over your life. And hear this carefully as we transition. God is using this very moment to reach others who are still trapped in confusion, still praying for clarity, still asking for protection. This word does not stop with you. When you sow into this mission, you are placing oil in the lamp so the light does not go out for someone else. I hear the Lord saying, as you release, I release back to you, pressed down and overflowing. If this message has guarded your heart today, respond prophetically. Use super thanks. Join the membership. We're so through PayPal. The link is in the description. And let your giving become an act of obedience, not charity. I bless every seed sown with divine protection, multiplied peace, and accelerated clarity. Do it now, and let heaven record your obedience. Beloved soul, now that separation has begun internally, something subtle yet powerful is shifting around you externally. This is the stage where God recalibrates your environment to match your elevation. Many people misunderstand this phase because it does not arrive with noise or announcement. It arrives quietly, almost gently, yet it rearranges everything. What you once tolerated will suddenly feel uncomfortable. What once felt normal will feel heavy. This is not restlessness. This is alignment asserting itself. You may notice that your tolerance for confusion has dropped dramatically. Situations you once explained away now trigger an inner pause. Conversations that used to drain you now feel unnecessary. This is not arrogance, and it is not emotional withdrawal. This is discernment refining your boundaries. God is teaching you that peace is not something you negotiate for anymore. It is something you protect. There is also a divine repositioning happening in your heart. You are no longer seeking validation from people who never had the capacity to see you clearly. Their misunderstanding no longer wounds you the way it once did. Instead, it confirms what God has already shown you. This emotional detachment is not coldness, it is healing. You are being released from invisible emotional contracts you never agreed to consciously. Archangel Michael's presence remains strong in this phase because once truth is exposed, retaliation often attempts to follow. Not always openly, but subtly. Through guilt, through manipulation, through sudden attempts to reconnect or rewrite the narrative. Be alert but not anxious. You are shielded. What is no longer aligned cannot reach you the way it once did. Authority has shifted. You may feel moments of silence where you expect chaos. That silence is intentional. God is retraining your nervous system to recognize peace as safe. For a long time, you associated intensity with importance. You mistook urgency for purpose. And now, God is teaching you that clarity does not rush, and truth does not compete. It stands. This is also a season where your prayers begin to change. You will find yourself asking less for answers and more for confirmation. Less for rescue and more for wisdom. That is growth. You are no longer praying from panic. You are praying from partnership. Heaven responds differently when you pray from authority rather than fear. Some of you will experience sudden physical rest during this time. Hebrews Liu. Calmer breathing. Less mental noise. This is not accidental. Your body is responding to spiritual alignment. When discernment is ignored, the body carries the stress. When discernment is honored, the body exhales. Let it. You may also notice a sharpening of intuition. Small details will stand out. Words will carry weight. You will sense when to speak and when to remain silent. Silence will no longer feel like weakness to you. It will feel like strength. That is because silence now serves clarity, not avoidance. Do not be surprised if opportunities you once chased now approach you effortlessly. When internal resistance is removed, external flow increases. This is the reward of obedience. Not applause and not recognition, but ease. Ease is a sign that you are moving with God, not ahead of Him. At the same time, do not rush to fill the empty spaces created by separation. Emptiness is not absence, it is preparation. God often clears space before He sends replacement. Trust the pause. Trust the quiet. Trust the stillness. Something is being formed there. You may feel an urge to revisit old decisions, old relationships, or old versions of yourself. Let those thoughts pass without action. Reflection is allowed. Regression is not. You are not going backward to fix what God has already resolved. You are moving forward with wisdom you did not have before. This phase is also restoring your sense of self. You are remembering who you were before you learned to shrink, adjust, or over-accommodate. That version of you was not naive, it was pure. God is not hardening you, He is strengthening you. There is a difference. Archangel Michael continues to stand guard because what is coming next requires clarity without compromise. The next opening will demand discernment at a higher level. You will not be tricked again in the same way. What once confused you will now be obvious. That is not pride. That is progress. Stay grounded. Stay observant. Stay surrendered. You are not in between seasons. You are in transition. And transitions, though quiet, are powerful. What is settling into place now will support you for years to come. This is not the end of the interruption. It is the stabilization after it. And from this stability, something new is about to emerge. My dear one, as the noise settles and the dust clears, you may begin to notice something unexpected rising within you, confidence that does not need validation. This is one of the most powerful outcomes of divine exposure. When illusions fall away, self-doubt loses its voice. You are no longer second-guessing your instincts the way you once did. You are no longer replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you misunderstood. Clarity has given you permission to trust yourself again. This is the phase where God begins to restore what confusion quietly stole from you. Not just peace, but momentum. Not just emotional balance, but direction. You are starting to see how much energy you spent managing uncertainty. How much strength went into staying patient, staying kind, stayed hopeful, even when things felt off. That strength was never wasted. It was stored. And now it is being returned to you as authority. You may feel a new boldness in your decisions. Not loud, not impulsive, but steady. You will notice that no comes more easily, without guilt. That is growth. You will also notice that yes feels lighter, not force. That is alignment. God is teaching you that obedience does not feel like pressure, it feels like peace. There is also a refinement happening in how you perceive people. You are no longer impressed by words alone. You are paying attention to consistency, tone, timing, and follow through. This is not judgment, it is wisdom. You are learning to recognize fruit instead of potential. Potential once kept you waiting. Fruit feeds you now. Some relationships may attempt to re-enter your space during this phase, often subtly. A casual message, a familiar memory, a sudden apology that lacks depth. Be discerning. Closure does not always require re-entry. Sometimes closure is simply understanding why it did not work and choosing not to repeat the pattern. You are not obligated to reopen doors God has already closed. You may also feel an inner prompting to clean, organize, or simplify your physical space. This is not random. Your external environment is catching up with your internal order. Clearing clutter mirrors the spiritual clarity you are gaining. Let your surroundings reflect the peace you are cultivating. As you stabilize, you may begin to sense anticipation. Not anxiety, but expectation. A quiet awareness that something is coming. This is because when God removes what is misaligned, He does not leave you empty-handed. He prepares you for what fits. And what fits will not require you to shrink, explain, or overextend yourself. This is also a season of recalibrated prayer. You are no longer begging God to show it. You are listening for instruction. Your prayers are becoming conversations, not emergency calls. You are learning how to pause, how to ask, and how to wait without fear. That is intimacy. And intimacy always precedes increase. Do not be surprised if your creativity begins to stir. Ideas may come unexpectedly. Desires you once buried may resurface. These are not distractions. They are indicators of restored flow. When the mind is no longer busy surviving, it begins to create. God is awakening parts of you that were dormant because they were waiting for safety. You are also becoming less reactive to opinions. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not define you. This emotional neutrality is not indifference. It is rootedness. You know who you are becoming, and that knowledge stabilizes you. External noise no longer determines your internal state. There may still be moments when memories of the exposed situation try to resurface emotionally. When that happens, do not suppress them, but do not dwell either. Acknowledge the lesson and release the emotion. Healing is not pretending it didn't happen. Healing is remembering without reliving. God is also training you to move forward without needing full visibility. You do not have to see 10 steps ahead anymore. 1 step is enough. Obedience is often revealed incrementally to keep you dependent on divine guidance rather than personal control. Trust that what you need will be revealed when you need it. This phase is quieter than the exposure, but it is no less powerful. Foundations are being reinforced. Strength is being internalized. Wisdom is being integrated. You are becoming someone who cannot be easily shaken, not because life is perfect, but because your footing is secure. Archangel Michael's role now is subtle but constant. Protection has shifted from intervention to reinforcement. You are not being rescued anymore, you are being upheld. There is a difference. Rescue pulls you out of danger. Upholding keeps you steady as you walk forward. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not recovering. You are advancing. What was meant to confuse you has clarified you. What was meant to weaken you has strengthened you. And what was hidden has lost its power over your future. Remain present. Remain humble. Remain attentive. The path ahead is opening, not with chaos, but with quiet certainty. And in that certainty, something meaningful is about to take shape. My beloved one, as stability settles within you, a new layer of awareness is opening. This is the stage where God begins to train you for sustainability, not just breakthrough. Many people can handle exposure. Fewer can handle what comes after it. What comes after truth is responsibility. Responsibility to steward clarity, peace, and authority without drifting back into old habits. This is where wisdom must take root. You are now becoming aware of how easily you once overextended yourself. How quickly you said yes out of fear of disappointing others. How often you carried emotional weight that was never assigned to you. That awareness is not meant to shame you. It is meant to free you. You are learning that your capacity is sacred. Where you place your energy matters. God is also refining your discernment and timing. You are learning when to act and when to wait. Not every truth requires immediate movement. Some truths simply require adjustment. This is why patience is becoming more natural for you. You are no longer rushing to fix, explain, or resolve everything. You are allowing things to unfold while staying aligned. That is spiritual maturity. You may notice that some people are confused by your calm. They were used to you reacting, overthinking, or trying to keep peace at your own expense. Now, your stillness speaks louder than words. Let it. Silence, when guided by discernment, is a form of communication. It sets boundaries without confrontation. There is also an increase in self-respect happening quietly. You are honoring your own limits. You are listening to your body. You are resting without guilt. This is not laziness, it is obedience. God never called you to burn out for approval. He called you to walk in rhythm with Him. This phase may feel uneventful on the surface, but it is deeply productive. Roots are growing. Strength is consolidating. You are becoming consistent rather than reactive. Consistency is what sustains blessings. Sudden breakthroughs are exciting, but steady alignment is what keeps you free. You might also notice your emotional reaction shortening. Things that once lingered for days now pass in moments. That is healing. You are no longer storing offense or disappointment. You are processing and releasing. This emotional agility is a gift. It allows you to move forward without carrying residue from the past. God is also sharpening your discernment around opportunity. Not everything that looks good is meant for you. You are learning to ask, is this aligned? Instead of, is this impressive? That shift will protect you from unnecessary detours. Alignment brings peace even before results appear. At this point, it is important to stay connected. If this message continues to confirm what you are experiencing, take a moment to like this video so the message can reach others who are in this same season of clarity. Share it with someone who has been feeling this quiet shift but hasn't had words for it. Leave a comment to anchor this word in your spirit. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and become part of this growing community. Your engagement strengthens the reach of this message far beyond what you can see. As you remain steady, expect discernment to become quicker. You will sense misalignment early, before it drains you. That does not mean you will become closed off. It means you will become selective. Selectivity is not rejection. It is stewardship. You may also feel an increasing desire for depth. Shallow conversations will feel unsatisfying. Surface-level connections will feel incomplete. This is because God is aligning you with people and environments that can meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. Do not force depth where it does not exist. Let alignment bring it naturally. There is also a quiet courage growing in you. You are no longer afraid of being misunderstood. You are more concerned with being obedient. That courage will serve you well in the days ahead. Obedience often requires you to move without consensus. Trust that God's approval is sufficient. This is also a time to guard against nostalgia. The mind may try to romanticize past seasons now that the pain has faded. Remember clearly why exposure was necessary. Do not allow selective memory to reopen doors that wisdom has closed. You are not meant to revisit what you have already outgrown. Archangel Michael's protection remains present, but now it works in partnership with your discernment. You are not being carried. You are being guided. That distinction matters. Guidance requires attentiveness. Stay prayerful. Stay observant. Stay grounded. And before you move on, hold on to this moment. What is unfolding next builds directly on the steadiness you are developing now. This is where many people lose focus, but you are being invited to go deeper. Stay with this, because what follows will bring understanding to everything you have just stabilized. Beloved one, as you continue forward in this steadiness, something profound begins to awaken. Vision. Not imagination, not wishful thinking, but clear spiritual sight. This is where God allows you to perceive not just what is wrong or misaligned, but what is possible. Up to now, much of your energy was spent surviving, discerning, and stabilizing. Now that stability has taken root, your spirit is free to look ahead. You may notice that your thoughts are becoming more future-oriented. You are no longer replaying old conversations or rehearsing old disappointments. Instead, ideas begin to form. Questions shift from "why did this happen?" to "what am I being prepared for?" That shift is significant. It marks the transition from healing to building. God often waits until clarity is secure before releasing vision. Vision without clarity creates confusion. But vision after exposure creates momentum. You are now able to imagine a future without the weight of hidden agendas, emotional manipulation, or constant self-doubt. That freedom is not small. It changes how you dream. This is also a stage where your faith matures quietly. You are no longer asking God to prove himself. You have seen enough. Now, your faith expresses itself as trust. Trust in timing. Trust in redirection. Trust in closed doors. You no longer panic when something doesn't work out. Instead, you ask what it is protecting you from. That mindset keeps you grounded. You may feel drawn to learning, reflecting, or gaining new understanding during this time. Books, teachings, conversations, or moments of solitude may suddenly feel nourishing instead of lonely. God is feeding your mind and spirit in preparation for greater responsibility. Growth always precedes expansion. There is also a recalibration happening in how you define success. You are less interested in speed and more interested in sustainability. You no longer want quick wins that cost your peace. You want progress that lasts. A desire is wisdom forming. Wisdom chooses long-term alignment over short-term relief. Some of you may feel a gentle nudge to revisit an old calling or passion, not to repeat it the same way, but to approach it differently. With boundaries, with discernment, with clarity. What once overwhelmed you will now feel manageable because you are no longer carrying unnecessary weight. God does not always give new assignments. Sometimes he redeems old ones with new understanding. This phase may also bring moments of solitude, not isolation but intentional space. Space to hear clearly. Space to integrate lessons. Space to strengthen your inner foundation. Do not resist it. Solitude is often where confidence deepens and direction sharpens. You are not being pulled away from people. You are being anchored within yourself. You may also notice that your emotional reactions are now guided by choice rather than impulse. You can feel something without being ruled by it. That is emotional maturity. Emotions are no longer steering you. They are informing you. This balance will protect you as responsibilities increase. There may still be moments when doubt tries to resurface, especially when you step into unfamiliar territory. When that happens, remember how far you have come. Doubt often appears when growth stretches you. It does not mean you are unqualified. It means you are expanding. Do not shrink back to regain comfort. Move forward to gain confidence. God is also teaching you to celebrate progress without announcing it. You no longer need external affirmation to validate internal growth. You can acknowledge your own maturity quietly. That self-recognition is not pride, it is gratitude. Gratitude for survival, for insight, for protection. Archangel Michael's role in this phase is watchful rather than confrontational. The battle have shifted. This is no longer about exposure. It is about preservation. You are being guarded as you build, as you plan, as you move forward with intention. Protection now looks like discernment, timing, and restraint. Be mindful of who you allow access to your vision. Not everyone needs to know what God is showing you. Some people cannot carry revelation without contaminating it with opinion or fear. Guard your future the same way you guarded your peace. Share selectively. Build quietly. You may sense a growing desire for authenticity. You no longer want to perform, impress, or over-explain. You want to live aligned. That desire will simplify your choices. When authenticity becomes the goal, many options fall away naturally. This stage is also teaching you patience with yourself. You are no longer demanding perfection. You are allowing growth. That race toward yourself will translate into healthy relationships and decisions. Self-compassion creates resilience. What you are becoming now is someone who moves with intention, not urgency. With clarity, not confusion. With authority, not apology. This transformation did not happen overnight, and it is not finished yet. But it is real. Something ahead will require this version of you. The calm, the discernment, the steadiness, the vision. All of it is preparation, not delay. Trust that what feels quiet now is deeply active beneath the surface. Stay attentive. Stay grounded. Stay receptive. Because what unfolds next will confirm why this entire process was necessary, and you will recognize it immediately. Not with shock, but with peace. Beloved child, this is the moment where preparation meets purpose. Everything you have walked through until now has been aligning you for a specific crossing. Not a dramatic leap, but a deliberate step into a new level of responsibility and spiritual authority. This is where many sense an inner knowing that life will not return to what it was before. Not because of loss, but because of growth. You are standing at the edge of a shift that requires you to trust what God has been building in you quietly. You may notice that you are less reactive to uncertainty now. Situations that would have once triggered anxiety now invite contemplation instead. That is not because life has become easier, but because you have become steadier. God has been strengthening your inner posture so that when new opportunities arise, you are not pulled by impulse but guided by wisdom. This phase brings a deeper understanding of obedience. Obedience is no longer about fear of consequences. It is about alignment with purpose. You are starting to recognize that saying yes to God sometimes means saying no to distractions that are not sinful, just misaligned. Discernment at this level is subtle. It requires attentiveness, not intensity. You may feel a quiet resistance to rushing. That is the Spirit teaching you to move at heaven's pace. When you rush, you rely on adrenaline. When you move steadily, you rely on guidance. The difference is peace. Peace is becoming your internal compass now. If something pulls you out of peace, it deserves reevaluation, not justification. There is also a deeper cleansing happening emotionally. Old triggers are losing their grip. Old fears are losing their authority. You are no longer defining yourself by what hurt you. You are defining yourself by what healed you. That shift will change how you approach relationships, work, and even your dreams. Some of you may feel called to step back from noise, social, emotional, or mental. This is not withdrawal, it is consecration. God often quiets the surroundings when He is about to speak more clearly. Do not fill the silence too quickly. Let it teach you. You are also becoming more comfortable with not being understood. Not because you enjoy distance, but because you trust God's validation more than human agreement. That confidence is essential for where you are going. The next season will require decisions that are not popular but are necessary. You are being prepared to choose truth over approval. Archangel Michael's presence is especially strong now because crossing points often attract interference. Not to stop you, but to distract you. Be mindful of sudden invitations, unnecessary drama, or emotional pullbacks into old cycles. Not everything that reappears is meant to be revisited. Some things return only to confirm that you have changed. You may also notice an increase in clarity around your values. What you stand for. What you will no longer tolerate. What matters most. This clarity will simplify your life. When values are clear, decisions become easier. Confusion fades where conviction is strong. This is also a season of quiet courage. Courage that does not announce itself. Courage that looks like consistency, integrity, and patience. You are learning that strength is not always visible, but it is always effective. Now receive this activation with intention. Type "I walk in divine authority" in the comments if your spirit is aligning with this message. Blessing code 818 is now released and activated over your life. And as this authority settles in you, hear this call clearly. God is using this message to reach others who are standing at the same crossing, unsure but ready. When you choose to support this mission, you are not funding content. You are fueling revelation. You are sowing light into places still covered by confusion. I hear the Spirit saying, "Those who pour oil into my work will never lack oil themselves." If this word has strengthened you, respond with obedience. Release your support through super thanks. Step into deeper alignment through membership, or sow through PayPal using the link in the description. I speak blessing over every seed, clarity over confusion, peace over chaos, and acceleration over delay. Act now, and let heaven honor what you release in faith. Beloved one, as you move beyond the crossing, you may begin to realize that the greatest transformation did not happen around you. It happened within you. This is the stage where inner alignment becomes visible through your choices, your pace, and your reactions. You are no longer driven by urgency or fear of missing out. You are led by clarity, and clarity creates a different kind of life. You may notice that you are no longer drawn to chaos, even subtle chaos. Environments that thrive on drama, constant urgency, or emotional volatility will feel exhausting rather than stimulating. This is not because you are becoming detached from life, but because your nervous system and spirit have learned a new rhythm. Peace is no longer boring to you. It is productive. Stillness is no longer uncomfortable. It is grounding. God is teaching you how to live from a place of internal order. When your inner world is ordered, your outer decisions begin to align naturally. You no longer need to force outcomes. You sense when to move and when to wait. This intuitive timing is one of the clearest signs of spiritual maturity. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding to it. You may also become aware that certain ambitions are shifting. Goals that were once fueled by comparison or the need to prove something are losing their appeal. In their place, desires rooted in purpose, impact, and sustainability are emerging. This does not mean you are becoming less driven. It means your drive is becoming purified. Motivation born from alignment lasts longer than motivation born from pressure. There is also a new level of honesty developing within you. You are more truthful with yourself about what you want, what you need, and what you are no longer willing to compromise. This honesty may initially feel uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it also removes self-betrayal. You are learning to honor your own discernment instead of overriding it to maintain familiarity. You may find yourself revisiting certain areas of your life, not to reopen wounds, but to close loops with understanding. Conversations you never had, decisions you never fully processed, seasons you rushed through emotionally may come back into awareness briefly. This is not regression. This is integration. God is allowing your story to settle into coherence so that nothing unresolved pulls you backward later. As this integration happens, you may experience moments of gratitude that surprise you. Gratitude not just for what worked out, but for what didn't, for what ended, for what was exposed. Gratitude is a sign that resentment has loosened its grip. It means you are no longer measuring your life by loss, but by growth. You may also notice that your tolerance for self-criticism is decreasing. You are catching negative self-talk more quickly and releasing it rather than entertaining it. This is important. Inner alignment requires inner kindness. You cannot build a peaceful future on a hostile internal dialogue. God is teaching you to speak to yourself the way He speaks to you, with truth, patience, and grace. This stage also brings a refined sense of responsibility. Not responsibility for fixing others, but responsibility for stewarding your own life well. You are more intentional with your time, more selective with your commitments, more aware of what drains you versus what strengthens you. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. You cannot pour from an empty vessel, and you are no longer willing to try. Archangel Michael's role here is almost imperceptible, yet constant. Protection has become preventative rather than reactive. You are being guided away from entanglements before they form. Redirection happens subtly. A delay here, a closed door there. Instead of frustration, you feel relief. That is how you know trust has deepened. You may also sense a growing confidence in navigating uncertainty. Not because you have all the answers, but because you trust the process that brings them. You are no longer threatened by the unknown. You see it as space for God to move. That perspective changes everything. This is also where patience begins to bear fruit. You are no longer measuring progress by speed, but by depth. You understand now that what grows slowly often lasts longer. You are willing to take the time to build something solid rather than rushing into something unstable. This patience is not passive, it is intentional. You may feel a quiet excitement about the future, even if you cannot fully articulate why. That is hope returning, not as wishful thinking but as confidence rooted in experience. You have seen God protect you. You have seen truth surface. You have felt peace replace confusion. Those experiences have built trust that no argument can undo. As you continue forward, remember this: alignment is not a destination. It is a practice. There will still be choices to make, adjustments to consider, moments that require discernment. But you are no longer starting from confusion. You are starting from clarity. This clarity will serve you well in what comes next, because the next phase will not test your discernment as much as it will require you to use it consistently. And consistency is where true transformation becomes visible. Stay present. Stay humble. Stay attentive. You are not being directed, but you are being led. And the path ahead, though still unfolding, is far more secure than the one behind you. Beloved soul, this is the stage where alignment must be lived, not just understood. Everything you have received so far now asks for consistency. Clarity is powerful, but consistency is what turns clarity into a new reality. God is not testing you to see if you remember what you learned. He is inviting you to apply it naturally, without strain. This is where spiritual maturity becomes visible in everyday life. You may notice that situations arise which resemble old patterns, but they do not carry the same power anymore. The difference is not in the situation, it is in you. What once pulled you into overthinking now invites a calm response. What once demanded emotional energy now receives measured attention. This is not numbness. This is self-governance. You are no longer living at the mercy of external triggers. God is teaching you how to remain centered even when circumstances are not. That ability will become one of your greatest strengths. Many people lose peace the moment life becomes unpredictable. You are learning how to hold peace steady even when answers are still unfolding. This does not mean you suppress emotion. It means emotion no longer controls direction. There is also a refinement happening in your communication. You are more intentional with your words. You speak less from reaction and more from conviction. Silence feels safer than unnecessary explanation. When you do speak, your words carry weight because they are not diluted by anxiety. This shift will protect you from misunderstandings and unnecessary conflict. You may also feel a growing desire to simplify your life. Not because you lack ambition, but because you value clarity more than excess. Simplicity creates margin. Margin creates space for God to move. You are learning that a full life is not always a fulfilled life. Fulfillment comes from alignment, not accumulation. This is also a season where delayed answers begin to make sense. Not all at once, but gradually. Pieces connect. Timing becomes clearer. You realize that certain things did not happen because they would have required a version of you that no longer exists. God was not withholding. He was waiting for you to be ready. And readiness is not about perfection. It is about stability. You may find yourself less emotionally invested in outcomes you cannot control. This is freedom. You care, but you do not cling. You hope, but you do not obsess. You plan, but you do not panic. This balance is rare, and it is precious. Guard it. At this point, staying connected matters. If this message continues to resonate with what you are living, take a moment to like this video so it can reach others who are walking through the same quiet transformation. Share it with someone who has been feeling this inner shift but hasn't had language for it yet. Leave a comment to mark this season in your journey, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. When you engage, you are not just supporting content. You are helping create a space where truth and clarity can keep flowing. Hold on, because what unfolds next will bring a deeper understanding of why this steadiness is essential. Many people disengage when life feels calm, but this is where discernment must remain active. Calm is not the end of the journey. It is the foundation for what comes next. God is also strengthening your ability to discern subtle invitations. Not everything that comes your way will be wrong, but not everything will be right for you. This is where discernment becomes preventative rather than corrective. You are learning to sense misalignment before commitment, not after exhaustion. There may be moments when you feel tempted to rush progress because things finally feel stable. Resist that urge. Stability is not stagnation. It is preparation. Growth built on instability collapses under pressure. Growth built on clarity lasts. Trust the pace that peace sets for you. Archangel Michael's protection continues to operate quietly in this phase. You may not feel dramatic interventions, but you will notice near misses, gentle redirections, and inner hesitations that save you from unnecessary entanglements. Honor those prompts. They are not fear, they are guidance. You are also learning how to recover quickly when things do not go as planned. Disappointment no longer derails you. It informs you. You process, adjust, and move forward without spiraling. This resilience is evidence of healing. You are no longer fragile. You are flexible. This stage is also refining your faith. Faith is no longer something you reach for only in crisis. It is becoming the atmosphere you live in. Trust is woven into your decisions, your rest, your expectations. You are no longer bracing for impact. You are walking with confidence that whatever comes, you will be guided through it. You may sense that something meaningful is approaching, not with anxiety but with quiet readiness. That sense is accurate. What is coming will require discernment, consistency, and peace. Exactly what God has been building in you. Nothing in this process was wasted. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. Remain humble. The clarity you now carry is not meant to impress others. It is meant to sustain you. And from this place of sustainability, the final unfolding will begin to make sense in ways you could not have understood before. Beloved one, now you are entering a phase that few recognize while they are in it. This is the phase of quiet confirmation. Nothing feels explosive. Nothing feels urgent. And yet, everything feels settled. This is how you know the shift is real. When transformation is genuine, it does not need drama to validate it. It carries a deep internal knowing that cannot be shaken by circumstance. You may notice that you are no longer asking God for constant reassurance. Not because you are distant, but because trust has matured. You sense His guidance without needing constant signs. You feel direction without needing constant explanation. This is intimacy at a deeper level. When trust is strong, communication becomes subtle. There is also a noticeable change in how you handle uncertainty. You are no longer afraid of not knowing every detail. You understand now that clarity unfolds in layers. What matters most is that your next step is aligned, not that the entire path is visible. This ability to move forward without anxiety is one of the clearest signs of spiritual growth. You may find yourself reflecting on how much you have changed, not with pride, but with gratitude. You remember how reactive you once were, how easily unsettled, how deeply affected by other people's moods and decisions. Now, those same triggers barely register. That contrast is not accidental. It is evidence of healing that has integrated into your identity. God is also teaching you to live without constantly narrating your journey. You no longer feel the need to explain what you are doing, why you are doing it, or where you are going. Privacy feels peaceful. Silence feels safe. This does not mean you are hiding. It means you are grounded. Not everyone needs access to your process. This phase also brings a clearer understanding of boundaries. Boundaries no longer feel like walls. They feel like wisdom. You enforce them without guilt and without anger. You do not need to justify them. You simply live within them. That calm enforcement speaks louder than any explanation ever could. You may also notice that your compassion has become more discerning. You still care deeply, but you no longer confuse empathy with responsibility. You can feel concern without absorbing pain. You can listen without fixing. This balanced compassion allows you to remain present without being depleted. There is a deeper sense of self-respect growing now. You trust your decisions. You honor your limits. You do not betray yourself to maintain harmony. That self-respect creates stability in every area of your life. People may not always understand it, but they will feel it. You may also experience moments of stillness where nothing seems to be happening. Resist the urge to label these moments as stagnation. Stillness is not inactivity. It is integration. God often pauses outward movement so inward truth can fully settle. What settles now will support you later. Archangel Michael's role in this phase is guardianship rather than warfare. The battles that required confrontation have passed. Now comes protection through discernment. You are being guided away from unnecessary complexity. Simplicity is becoming a form of spiritual protection for you. This is also a time when your discernment becomes almost effortless. You no longer have to analyze everything. You simply know. And knowing does not come from intellect alone. It comes from alignment. Alignment creates intuition that is calm, not frantic. You may feel less urgency to prove progress. You are content letting growth speak for itself. This internal confidence is not loud, but it is unshakable. It does not rise or fall with circumstances. It remains steady because it is rooted. God is also preparing you for something that will require quiet leadership. Not leadership through control, but leadership through presence. People will feel safe around you. They will feel clarity around you. Not because you preach, but because you live aligned. That kind of influence cannot be manufactured. You may notice that your priorities are now very clear. You know what matters. You know what does not. Decisions that once felt complicated now feel obvious. This simplicity is not reduction. It is refinement. God has removed distractions so focus can emerge. There may still be moments when old fears attempt to whisper. When they do, they will sound unfamiliar. That is because they no longer belong to you. You have outgrown them. Do not entertain what no longer fits your current reality. This phase is quieter than the beginning, but it is stronger. What is loud can be shaken. What is settled remains. You are no longer being shaped. You are being established. Establishment takes time, and you are allowing that time without resistance. As you stand here, notice the absence of chaos. Notice the presence of peace. Notice how your inner world feels stable even when life remains dynamic. That stability is not accidental. It is the result of every step, every exposure, every adjustment you honored along the way. What comes next will not undo this foundation. It will build upon it. And because the foundation is strong, what is built will last. My beloved child, this is the moment where everything comes full circle. What began as an interruption now stands as confirmation. You were never being disrupted, you were being redirected. Every layer of exposure, every moment of clarity, every quiet adjustment was guiding you toward this final understanding. You are no longer the same person who first received this message. Something permanent has shifted within you. This is the completion of a cycle. Not an ending marked by loss, but by authority. You are standing in a place where confusion no longer has permission to speak louder than truth. Where fear no longer disguises itself as wisdom. where peace is not fragile but rooted. That is the fruit of obedience you could not see while it was forming. You now understand why the interruption had to be time-sensitive. If it had come later, you might have compromised. If it had come earlier, you might have doubted yourself. But it came exactly when your discernment was strong enough to receive it without collapsing. That timing was mercy. You have learned how to move without rushing, how to wait without anxiety, and how to listen without losing yourself. These are not small lessons. These are the traits of someone God trusts with influence, with responsibility, with impact. You were not just protected from darkness, you were trained through discernment. Notice how different you feel now compared to when this message began. The urgency has softened into certainty. The fear has dissolved into awareness. The questions have transformed into understanding. A transformation is real, and it is irreversible. What lies ahead will not require you to abandon this peace. It will require you to use it. The next season will ask you to make decisions from clarity, not emotion, from alignment, not pressure. And because you have learned how to remain steady, you will not lose yourself in the process. You are no longer someone who needs constant reassurance. You carry confirmation within you. You no longer search for signs everywhere. You recognize guidance when it arrives quietly. That maturity is rare, and it is precious. Archangel Michael's assignment around your life is not ending. It is shifting. You are now walking with discernment rather than depending on intervention. Protection has become partnership. You are alert, aware, and grounded. That is the posture of someone who cannot be easily deceived again. As you move forward, remember this. You do not owe anyone access to your clarity. You do not need to explain your growth. You do not need permission to protect your peace. Your responsibility now is stewardship. Stewarding what you have learned. Stewarding who you have become. There will be moments ahead that test this steadiness, not to break it, but to strengthen it. And when those moments come, you will recognize them immediately, not with panic, but with discernment. You will know how to respond because you are no longer guessing. You are grounded. Take a moment to acknowledge what God has done in you. Gratitude seals transformation. Gratitude keeps you aligned. Gratitude reminds you that this journey was never about perfection, but about obedience. Now receive this final activation with intention and authority. Type "I am sealed in truth" in the comments if this message has completed something in your spirit. Blessing code 1212 is now released and sealed over your life. And before this moment closes, hear this final call clearly. This word did not arrive in your life by accident. God is using this channel as a vessel to interrupt days, protect hearts, and expose what hides in the dark. When you support this mission, you are not supporting a person. You are partnering with heaven's assignment. I hear the Lord saying, those who respond in this moment are sowing into light that rescues others before harm reaches them. This is your prophetic response. Release your support through super thanks. Step deeper through membership, or sow through PayPal using the link in the description. I speak blessing over every giver now. May God guard your house, sharpen your discernment, and multiply your peace. Do it now, not later, and let heaven record your obedience.